If you're a normal guy and you see a pretty girl and you want to make her feel good about herself and hopefully you, a way to do this, a common way to do this, is to give her a compliment. Now, there's 3 or 4 levels deep of how effectively you can give somebody a compliment. The most common way is unfortunately the least effective way. And the most common way is to see something about her that is obvious, that everybody can see, that everybody knows about. And so one, she hears this a lot from a lot of people, but it also demonstrates a lack of effort on the part of the complimenter. It shows a lack of brain power because all you're really doing is using just enough brain power to find out something about her that everybody else knows. So it doesn't feel that special. That's why these kind of compliments rarely work. A much deeper way to compliment somebody is to take the time to start a conversation and find out something about her and then give her a compliment based on what you've learned from her conversationally. Give her a compliment about something that not a lot of other people noticed. Use a little bit of your brain power to look for treasure, something that she does differently than everybody else. A decision that she's made that she's probably proud of. These will resonate on a much deeper level. But there's a third option, a kind of nuclear option to give people a compliment and not only make them feel good, but make it feel like you really see them in a way that nobody else does. This is based on a couple of principles from psychology. The first principle is that everybody feels higher or better than average. We don't necessarily think this consciously. We don't necessarily go around comparing ourselves to other people consciously and thinking, haha, I'm better than them. Haha, I'm better than them. We respond to things that indicate that we are somehow more special than everybody else. We all respond to social signals that indicate we are higher up in the hierarchy than most other people. This is a very ancient, very subconscious, very deep instinct, a very deep feeling, a very deep desire to be recognized for something that we have that other people don't have. And the thing that we have is some kind of internal trait that makes us feel more special than everybody else. The second psychological technique or idea this is based on is something called identity priming. Whenever you give somebody a positive label, a label they would like to accept, a label they would like to believe that everybody notices about them, they will search through their memory and they will find examples that validate this positive label. For example, in one marketing study, they went out dressed in official clothing with a company logo and a name tag, and they said, "Hi, I'm from company XYZ. Can we have your email for marketing purposes?" 30% of the people said yes, 70% said no. But then they said, "Hi, I'm from XYZ Marketing Company. We're out here doing some marketing research. By the way, do you consider yourself an adventurous person?" Nearly everybody said yes, because being adventurous is a positive label that people would like to believe about themselves, that people would like to believe that other people notice about them. So everybody said yes. Then they asked for the email. And because they had self-identified as an adventurous person, 70% of people gave their email. So this is identity priming in action. So how do you use this conversationally? How do you use this conversationally to give somebody a compliment in such a deep way they will feel like you truly see them? They will feel like you truly see something about them that nobody else sees. Well, the first step is to start a conversation with someone. Make sure you have decent conversational rapport. And then say something like this: "There's something I just kind of thought about you. It's a kind of an intuition. And it's, I think, based on how you communicate, I'm not sure. But it seems like, based on how you communicate, that you are a very XYZ person. And XYZ is a positive personality trait, but a positive personality trait that not a lot of people think about or talk about. Like you are very intuitive, or you are very introspective, or you have very high social intelligence." And then you say, "My intuition tells me that you are an XYZ person. Am I imagining things, or are you an XYZ person?" And so give them the option. Don't just say you're XYZ and expect them to, oh yes, I am. But say it like this. It seems to me like you are an XYZ person based on how you communicate. Am I imagining things, or are you really like this? And just wait for the look of recognition on their face. Don't expect them, or don't allow them, or don't wait for them to say, defend themselves or define themselves verbally as being XYZ. Just wait for the nonverbal body language, facial expression confirmation that they're looking inside their memory and they're finding evidence that they are an XYZ person. Once you get that positive recognition, that positive nonverbal recognition, you can ask questions around the periphery of this feeling. Don't expect them to come up with specific examples. Just ask them questions about that trait. When you experience XYZ trait, when you feel your most intuitive, are you around friends or around strangers? Simply by deciding which of these is more accurate, that will validate the presupposition that they have this trait, like intuition. When you feel your social intelligence starting to rise, is this in like a social situation or more of a work situation? And they'll consider these two options, and that will validate that deep feeling of having social intelligence. This will make it seem like you're slowly discovering this trait about them. You're slowly discovering that deep positive trait that sets them apart from everybody else. And this is the holy grail of creating relationships. Everybody is walking the earth desperate to find somebody who notices something about us that stands us apart from everybody else. An inner trait that makes us feel very, very special. I used to live in Japan, and I would pass by this one shop on the weekends, and it always had this long line of young Japanese women waiting outside. And so I asked somebody, I said, what kind of shop is this? And they said, oh, that's a psychic. He's a blind psychic. So I wondered what the deal was. And so I had this friend that was an engineer, and she didn't believe in any kind of psychic phenomenon. So I convinced her to go see the psychic just to see if she could reverse engineer what kind of language patterns he was using, what kind of game he was running on these girls. And she said it's very, very simple. All he does is sit there. He's an old guy. He's a blind guy. It's obvious he's blind because his eyes are kind of messed up. And he just holds their hands and reads their energy. And all he really does, according to her, is just tell them positive things about themselves. And even though a lot of them believe it's not really psychic, it's just telling them positive things about themselves because she was talking to the other ladies waiting in line, they still come back every weekend. And this guy makes so much money on Saturdays and Sundays, he doesn't have to work during the week. And all he does is tell young women positive things about themselves. And that is such a positive feeling, they come back again and again. But be careful. This technique, this identity priming, deep compliment technique can be weaponized. I have another friend in the States, and she spent a couple of years in emotional turmoil because she was dating this guy. This guy was a complete creep, a complete asshole, but he ghosted her. But for some reason, she could not let this guy go. And she started to wonder why she couldn't let this guy go, because he was objectively a terrible person. And she thought because she couldn't let this guy go, she started to think that she only deserved terrible people. And that caused her a lot of emotional turmoil. And she actually went to see a counselor about this. And through the conversations with the counselor, she identified why she couldn't let this guy go, because he was very good at making her feel seen. He was very good at pretending like he saw the real her. And her psychologist explained to her, her therapist explained to her that when we find somebody that makes us feel like they see the real us, that is such a positive feeling. That is such a wonderful feeling. We will never want to let go of that person. So use this technique very, very sparingly. Use this technique only on people you want to have a strong relationship with. Because once you use this technique, even after you've met someone, even after just a little bit of conversational rapport, once you use this identity priming technique, they will see you as somebody who truly sees them, and they will never want to let you go. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to learn more about how to use your language to become incredibly persuasive, check out the links below. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.